Corey Haim was best known for his roles in Lucas, License to Drive, and of course, The Lost Boys. He was receiving nearly 2,000 fan letters a week and had girls circling the block where he lived. But from a young age, Haim was ushered into a life of drugs, which led to major addiction issues and money problems, especially after his career faltered. In 2001, Haim was the subject of an E! True Hollywood story, and it showed him living in a garage apartment with his mother. Haim was disoriented and unintelligible for some of the interview. He was shown compiling a promotional clip reel for casting agents, and a pawnbroker recalled him begging for $3 just to buy a slice of pizza. He even attempted to make money by selling clumps of his hair and an extracted tooth on eBay. Sadly, Haim had so little money that when he died in 2010 from pneumonia, his family needed to ask for donations just to pay for his funeral. Margot Kidder shot to fame as Lois Lane in Superman, starring opposite Christopher Reeve. Her performance as Kathy Lutz in the blockbuster horror film The Amityville Horror gained her further mainstream exposure, after which she went on to reprise her role as Lois Lane in Superman 2, 3, and 4. In 1990, she sustained serious injuries from a car accident on a set that left her temporarily paralyzed and unable to work. For nearly 2 years, Kidder was out of work and racking up debt, leading to bankruptcy. She later had a nervous breakdown in 1996 and ended up homeless, sleeping in cardboard boxes around random backyards, until she was reported by a homeowner. She was barely recognizable, with hair chopped off and missing teeth. Kidder eventually was able to turn her life around and moved to Montana. In 2018, she died at her home at the age of 69, in what was later ruled a suicide by an overdose of alcohol and drugs. Leif Garrett is one of those names people automatically think of when it comes to 1970s teen idols. Garrett earned the admiration of young fans around the world thanks to his combination of boyish good looks and his bubblegum pop songs. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before Garrett was seemingly all washed up, having fallen victim to the pitfalls that doomed the careers of many former child stars. By the mid-1980s, Garrett's music career was essentially over, and while he did return to acting, it was mostly in forgettable B-movies. He was also in the throes of a serious drug addiction and was dealing with guilt over his involvement in a car accident that paralyzed one of his good friends. Garrett's drug problems continued, and he was arrested in 2004 and 2006, the latter of which resulted in jail time. His most recent drug arrest was in February 2010. Despite his early success, the former star's net worth dropped to nearly nothing as the years passed, and Garrett's story became another cautionary tale of how Hollywood success can be fleeting. Loni Willison is best known as a fitness model and magazine cover girl, but also dabbled in acting in a TV series called Exposé from 2005. She is also the ex-spouse of Baywatch actor Jeremy Jackson. Willison, who would often be found on red carpets during the early 2000s, has struggled with mental health and substance abuse issues in more recent years, spiraling out of control after her 2014 divorce from Jackson. Unable to work because of a mental breakdown, Willison fell into massive debt, and in 2016, she lost her rented apartment and could no longer afford to keep her car. The former cover girl turned drug addict was first spotted living on the streets of Los Angeles shortly after that. She has become a shadow of her former self, looking gaunt and missing teeth, as she pushes a cart through the streets of Santa Monica, a far cry from her tanned, glowing glamour girl days. In 1990, Wesley Snipes gained fame when he played a musician in director Spike Lee's film Mo Better Blues. He also starred in New Jack City, Jungle Fever, and White Men Can't Jump, which catapulted him into elite Hollywood circles. He would later take on the lead role in the Blade trilogy, where he played a vampire-hunting action hero. But the Blade actor, while raking in millions of dollars, failed to pay his taxes on his income, and even tried to claim that he was a non-resident alien. Snipes was convicted of 3 misdemeanor counts for failing to file federal taxes between 1999 and 2004. A time period in which the movie star made nearly $40 million. Although he offered to pay some of it back to help clear his $23.5 million debt, Snipes was instead given a 3-year prison sentence. Since his release from federal prison in 2013, Snipes has remained out of the spotlight and has made only a few movie and TV appearances. Erin Moran played Richie Cunningham's baby sister, Joni Cunningham, on ABC's Happy Days, and she was only 13 years old when she landed the role. It lasted until 1982, as the character was spun off into the short-lived series with Scott Baio called Joni Loves Chachi, although she wanted to remain with Happy Days. After both shows ended, Moran moved from Los Angeles to the California mountains. She said in 1988 that she suffered from depression and therefore was unable to get any more acting roles. Moran confirmed news reports that her California home was foreclosed on in 2010, so she moved in with her mother-in-law in Indiana, where they shared a small trailer. At the age of 56, Moran passed away, and toxicology testing showed that no illegal narcotics were involved in her death, and no illegal substances were found in Moran's home. The autopsy indicated the cause of death to be complications from stage 4 cancer. She spent her final days reportedly broke and homeless after she was kicked out of her mother-in-law's trailer following a drunken brawl. Gary Coleman became a huge child star, thanks to the character of Arnold Jackson on Different Strokes. The popularity of Coleman and the long-running series should have set the actor up with plenty of money to live off of, but unfortunately, his life took some challenging turns after he became an adult. He was born with numerous health problems and was adopted as an infant. He had 2 kidney transplants, which contributed to his stunted growth. He was only 4 feet 8 inches tall, but his big personality, packed into a small body, made him the perfect pick for Different Strokes. Coleman struggled financially in later life. In 1989, he successfully sued his parents and business advisor over misappropriation of his assets, only to declare bankruptcy a decade later. Very few details of Coleman's medical history have been made public, although his battles with substance abuse and depression earned significant media coverage. When he died in 2010 at the age of 42, his assets were minimal. Both in life and death, Coleman's successes were overshadowed and squandered because of people who took advantage of him. You might know Brett Butler as a comedian, and from starring in the ABC comedy Grace Under Fire. Behind the scenes, Butler battled a recurring drug addiction and spent plenty of time in rehab. In 1998, due to her erratic behavior stemming from substance abuse, she was dismissed from the show, and ABC ended up canceling the series. She made horrible financial decisions along the way and trusted some bad people who took advantage of her. In 2011, Butler spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, revealing she had been living in homeless shelters in the state of Georgia. By 2018, she was back in LA working on the occasional TV show, but her career came to a halt once again when Hollywood shut down because of COVID-19. One of her closest friends started a GoFundMe campaign for the actress, who was facing eviction from her Los Angeles apartment because she was 6 months behind on her rent. The campaign raised over $12,000, enough to keep her in her home a little longer, in hopes that her acting and stand-up career picks back up. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and maybe even consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist, and then visit the channel to search the Recollection Road Library. As always, thank you so much for watching.